What's up, guys and gals? How is it going? So today it's Wednesday, which means we have the 2-2 poker cash games at my local casino at 8 p.m. in the evening. However, until that time we still need to go to work and some other stuff to do. So without further ado, let's jump into that. And look how good is the weather in Hamburg right now. I mean, it is not raining, so it is considered very good weather in Hamburg. Dankeschön. Okay, I take back my words about the weather because it is fucking raining again, as always. But at least we're heading home from work and we can go to play some poker. Okay, finally back home. So in an hour or so we will leave to go to the casino. But before we do that, I'm gonna make some food because I'm starving, and we'll decide on the best route to take to the casino because I checked that it's about an hour of walking or 30 minutes by bus, so I cannot decide between the two. And also for the food, you guys know what we will be eating. The fucking best food in the world. Okay, I don't know if you can see anything, but I will tell you a little bit of backstory about this casino. Half a year ago, I was in Hamburg for an internship and I searched for a place to play poker, and this was the only place which worked in Hamburg. When I talked to the local players, they said this is the best place to play poker. Very low rake. It's 5% and 4 euros capped, so insanely low rake. Very nice staff. You have windows everywhere, high ceiling, so you can keep track of time. It's one of my favorite casinos. I mean, it's made in a shopping mall, so it might sound cheap, but the staff is super nice. And here's the casino logo itself. It's in the third floor. So let's go. Here's the third floor of the shopping mall, and right over here you have the entrance to the casino. Okay, so this is the casino itself. You need to have masks everywhere, but it's still nice. There's some action and people are looking very strangely at me. So the pit boss was not very excited when he saw me filming at a casino. I will try to take small snippets of the action, but I cannot really make it obvious because filming at a casino is illegal. Okay, so the poker game is going interestingly. We started off by being down like 200 or something. We had aces cracked and standard stuff. Then we double up with queens by turning a set. Then we again made some money with ace king on a nice board. I think now we're up like 150. The games are going strong. We'll see how it goes later on. We are up 170 in this session. Okay, we are heading out of the casino. Yeah, I mean, the table was super nice. It was the best fucking table I have ever seen. A lot of like soft players, splashy players, big stacks. I mean, it's just good stuff, right? At first it was not that good, but afterwards stuff just got our way. Okay, so now we are heading home with my trusty penny board. As the way home will be mainly downhill, so that's where the penny board shines. So I hope that it will not suck to skate back home. We should take less than an hour. But I like walking in the evening, you know, rethinking about the hands, thinking about the spots, did I play them right, and just calming down before the night. Taking a walk after a session of poker is always a good idea. So yeah, see you when I get home. Finally back home after this rocky session. We cashed out 570 with a 400 buy-in, and I will make some hand reviews tomorrow. Okay, so it is the next morning of the following day, and we have some hands noted down in here, which I'm going to review with you. And let's jump into that. Okay, so in the first hand of the night, we get Jack 10 of diamonds from under the gun. We open it. The under the gun +1 free bets us. The low jack calls, the high jack calls, we call, and we're heading 4 ways to a flop of ace of clubs, king of clubs, and 7 of hearts. We check, and the high jack leads for about 60% pot. And in this pot, we don't have a flush draw. We're basically drawing to 4 queens, so the bet is big. We don't have a lot of equity, we just fold in the spot, and I think fold is alright in here. Moving on to the next hand, which is the best hand known to man, pocket aces. We get the ace of hearts and the ace of clubs in the small blind. Early position player opens to 12, which is always nice to see. The cutoff calls and we free bet to 30. Early position raiser calls, the cutoff calls, the flop is king of hearts, jack of hearts, and 9 of spades. We check and everyone checks, and I'm not really happy how I played this hand. I think we should be betting this flop with a very high frequency. Okay, so I want to show you why we need to bet the flop here almost every time with aces. Let's fire up Equilab. Alright, so we have the ace of hearts and ace of clubs. We can try to draw his range. Okay, let's remove aces, kings probably, because these hands would 4-bet. The ace king should be here 4-betting all the time, but I know that these players are capable of flattening that stuff. We'll stick to these hands as our calling range. So the cutoff has a little bit wider range. Let's say something like that. Okay, let's say this is the cutoff range. First of all, against these hands we have, okay, let's choose Monte Carlo. We have 70% equity, which is a fucking load of equity. We should definitely be raising as much as possible before the flop. Now let's check our flop. King of hearts, jack of hearts, 9 of spades, which gives us more than 54% equity. So we have a bunch of equity on this flop, especially because we have a heart in our hand. We should be betting this flop most of the time, probably all the time, just to simplify our strategy. Checking here is a big mistake and I don't really like it. Let's check how does the equities look on the turn. 10 of clubs. And yeah, Equilab is not liking the 10 of clubs on the turn. Having 18% equity here, this is definitely a spot not favorable for our hand. On the flop, we should be betting big most of the time. Here on the turn, we should be stopping down a lot of the time. So that's how I break down my hands. The river is a break, action goes check check, and the hijack shows 10-9 for 2 pair. Yeah, that's how it turned out. I'm not very happy how I played this hand. Let's move on to the other one. We have pocket 9s in the cutoff. The middle position player opens to 8. We call. The big blind decides to step it up and raises to 30. The middle position player calls, we call, and we're heading to a flop of 2-8-2 rainbow, and the big blind goes all in for over a pot. Middle position player folds. Yeah, I'm ashamed to admit, but I folded in this spot, which is a huge spew, but I still wanted to share with you guys to show that I make crappy plays quite often, and I'm trying to fix that stuff in my game. So this is a huge spew, and I'll explain why. If our opponent has a range of 10s or better, ace king off, ace king suited, I have 31.67% equity, and I need about 33% to break even on a call. Even if our opponent's range is really tight, we are basically breaking even on this call, and if our opponent's range is wider, we're making money on this call. So folding in this spot is a big mistake. Let's move on to the other one. Pocket queens in the hijack. So we open the queen of hearts and the queen of spades in the hijack for 6. The cutoff free bets to 22. We decide to put in a 4-bet of 60, and the cutoff calls. We're heading to a flop of 8 of clubs, 7 of diamonds, 3 of clubs. The pot is 124 and we see bet for 60. The cutoff calls. We could go a little bit bigger, but I think this is fine. The cutoff calls and the turn is the queen of diamonds. We turn a set with queens and the cutoff shoves. So it's always nice to see the shove. Nothing much to do here, but only to call. The river pairs the board for a boat. The cutoff said he had a flush draw. That's why I would prefer a bigger sizing on the flop. Moving on to the next hand, we have pocket 8s in the big blind. So the button opens to 12. The small blind calls. We call. We're heading to a flop of queen 5-2. I don't know the suits. I haven't wrote them down, and the button c-bets to 16. We have second pair on quite a dry flop, nothing to do here, just to call. The turn is a free. The board is queen 2-5 free. Everyone checks. The river is a 4. The button bets 20 into like a $60 or $70 pot. Although the ace gives us straight on this board, I think we have enough equity to justify calling this small bet, so we just call it, and the button shows a bluff of 9-7 off. In the next hand, we open ace king from early position. We have 4 callers. We're going 5 ways to a flop with ace king, which is not very good because it is denying a lot of equity from our hand. But we managed to flop top pair, top kicker, so the flop was ace 3-2 rainbow. Everyone checks. The turn is a king of hearts, which also opens as a flush draw. The middle position player leads for 14. We decide to check raise to 34. Everyone folds, and we just take down the pot. Nothing spectacular here. Moving on to the next hand. We get ace of clubs, 10 of clubs, so ace 10 suited in the button, and we open it to 10 because the action folded to us. The small blind calls, the big blind calls. We're heading to a flop of king of hearts, 6 of hearts, and 4 of spades. We see bet 33%. We bet 10 into a 30 pot. I don't really like betting on this flop because we have no flush draw. The blinds have a really wide range. I think we are in a disadvantage on this flop. I put some numbers into Equilab and I saw that we have 23.74% equity on this flop. I would prefer not to bet this flop. Maybe play some delayed turns, but we do bet on this flop. The small blind calls, the big blind calls, the turn is a king. So the kings have paired, everyone checks. The river is an ace, we check, everyone checks. And on the river, I thought that betting does not accomplish a lot because we would just get not called by worse hands and always get called by king X. But I think this is slot thinking about the spot because when I put things into Equilab, I saw that the king on the turn haven't changed our equity that much. So I think a better line would be to check the flop, bet the turn, and the ace on the river gives us a bunch of equity. The ace of clubs or the ace of heart gives us 52% equity, and the ace of diamonds gives us 64% equity. Yeah, I think we should be betting the river here most of the time. Our opponents have a bunch of ace X's that are worse than ours. They could have some small pairs that would call this flop, some pocket pairs. So there's a bunch of hands to extract value from, and I think this is also a mistake of not betting the river. So these were the hands of the night. Of course, I mainly note down the hands that I thought I didn't play right for further study at home. A lot of places to improve, but I'm working on it. That's it for me today. Thank you very much for watching this video. I just wanted to share, this part of the good hands, the bad hands. I just wanted you to see it all. Hopefully, as the journey of poker continues, we will improve dramatically. And yeah, see you soon, guys. Ciao.